What is up? It's here. I'm your host, RC. I'm joined by my co-host here, Jeff. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back. Good to see your face.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, Unlike Justin Herbert, you'll notice my flow is still on point. I'm still recovering from that a little bit from the breaking news of today.
That
Uh,
you have a middle school aged quarterback.
hey, hey, future of football, Justin Herbert. We'll get into that. First things first, we are the Mixer, a fantasy sports podcast, and just sports in general. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, all the regular podcast streaming services. We are also on YouTube, um, the Mixer channel. We are on social media at FCY Mixer everywhere. Follow us, talk to us. We want to hear from you. Rate and review, spread the word, share it around. Let's get more people in here. Our downloads have increased, which we love to see. So thank you. Thank you for all the awesome support. Just like any other week, we start with this week's tilts. Jeff, do you have any tilts?
To be honest, I know my tilts are usually fantasy related. I know we generally do a fantasy team check in later on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
But it's
I'll
week
save
10
it.
now, so it's tilt time officially.
Okay, I'll give you my tilt now. I've had in our main home league. It's essentially a two quarterback league.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally you can turn it into a super flex if you have the right players. But for the most part, for what we have 12 teams in the league,
Mm-hmm.
I think almost every week 24 quarterbacks start. And the fewest QBs that start is 22, I think. So basically two QB league. I've had on my team this year uh, Cam Newton, who's missed games, 2 to 3 games because of COVID. I've had Jimmy Garoppolo. I've had Andy Dalton. I've had, I now have Lamar Jackson, who luckily has not been hurt. Um,
Knock
traded for,
wood. Don't be
got
putting that
Drew
out there in the
Brees.
universe. We already got one
I
Grim
know.
Reaper.
I got Drew Brees, who's now hurt. Luckily, I was able to pick up Jameis. I have had probably 2 or 3 games this year that, everyone's going through the same thing, right? I've had 2 or 3 games this year that, if injuries don't happen mid game, I'd probably win those games just based on averages that happen. You know what I mean? And, I'd be possibly 6-4 instead of 4-6. Just real frustrating when you're in a two QB league essentially, and you can't get two QBs to play all the time.
Oof. Rough scenes. Rough scenes, my friend. And just to be clear, this is the league that you said you DM'd me that you were coming for the title in and to mark it down, right?
It is. I was feeling good about it after going into last week, and then some things happened. So
And both sides. I mean, fairness. We're like the New York Times here, capital J journalists. This is the league that you beat me in our one and only matchup. So
correct.
we got to be fair and balanced here. And like
Well,
the
I won the matchup that mattered, but I'm
Mhm.
probably going to lose the season long race.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Jeff, I mean, there might be, there might be a couple of people out there rooting for you. So, everybody likes the underdog. If you're in to the underdog stories, Jeff is your man. Speaking of dogs, thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. PFT fellow. This is legit. Thoughts and prayers. Fellow podcaster, PFT commenter from Barstool Sports. His dog Leroy passed away in the last week. 12-year-old dog. He had his own Twitter account where he would break news. But yeah, thoughts and prayers to Leroy. You will be missed. Never had the pleasure of meeting you, but you sounded like a hell of a dog. We are a pro dog podcast, so just putting that out there in the universe. Um, my tilts, unless you have any other, Jeff.
That's all I really got at this point. The body
So,
reacted well to playing basketball Thursday and Monday, so I'm not
awesome.
tilting about that anymore.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's that 7 or 8 month youth you have on me, or whatever age difference is. I don't quite know. But alternatively, there was a setback in Rob versus Time, and it probably happened in the most dad way. Took my daughter to the park on Sunday, and came back, and my knee just was it just doesn't feel stable. I don't know what happened.
Man.
So I'm wearing a knee brace around. I've been wearing it this week, and it's getting better. I did a little leg workout this morning. Felt good. I'm not ready to run yet, but the battle rage is on. Just when you think you got it, you got it figured out. Doing some resistance band exercises, low impact type stuff. Something creeps up. Something creeps up like this. I gotta stay on my toes.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, because I do actually have a tilt. I forgot about this one. Obviously, we know Corona is going on, right? And
happy birthday, coronavirus, yesterday, 11/17.
And obviously cases are going back up. Things are shutting down again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember, we had talked previously, and I said I was joining the gym, and I was getting back into working out. My gym closed last Friday. So I'm still tilting about that, because not that I don't enjoy a good run around the neighborhood or a nice little home workout. It's nice to have somewhere to go and do it. And it's just had me shook for a few days, to be honest.
I hear you. I do not miss the gym. Resistance bands are changing my life. I'm usually the solo gym goer, and people in general annoy me, but gym guy, gym girl, Instagram wannabe gym girl,
Oh yeah.
they annoy the fuck out of me, and I can't see anything else. So, buy some resistance bands, get some kettlebells, and you can join my program. Maybe that'll be our side hustle. Other tilt for the band parlay. Oof, 0-2. No Arsenal game this last week. But yeah, so the for the band parlay has not hit at all yet.
That's rough.
I mean, this is what happens when you bet money lines on the Bengals, the Chargers, and Arsenal. So, maybe not the wisest investment of my money, but some things you just got to do for the brand, and I'm gonna go down with this ship. So, hop on board, fellow mixers. Let's move on. Week 10. Week 10 is in the books. Not the greatest week. Weather's poking its ugly head up through the frozen tundra. The most exciting game of the week was that Cardinals-Bills game, capped off by a Hail Mary from the most exciting quarterback in the NFL, which you may or may not have heard here first. I mean, I've been saying that since like week 3. Yeah, on the run against his momentum, chucking the ball.
Yeah, running
50
left,
yards
throwing,
downfield. All 5'6"
left
Kyler Murray.
as a right-handed quarterback throwing. Yeah, that's a tough throw.
Yeah. Who do you think is taller, me or Kyler Murray?
I think you might.
I'm 5'8" on a good day.
No, Kyler's taller than you.
But okay, so they measured him for the combine, he was like 5'10" or something.
Yeah.
The dude had to be sleeping upside down like a vampire from one of those back stretchers.
I think he might have been.
Or he just on his tippy toes a little bit, like you're trying to get on the go-karts at Boomers when you're 11 and look like Justin Herbert.
Pretty much.
Funny side note, they all come. This is for the locals here that probably are the only ones that listen to us anyway. Although I check the downloads, we get random downloads from Europe. Anywho, I mean, most people know where El Cajon is, but the El Cajon Boomers, I went there. Well, I think it was Family Fun Center back then, and it was like my freshman year of high school. We had like a random Tuesday off or something, and we went there, and they thought we ditched and called the cops. But yeah,
Nice.
anyway, but
Where'd
then
you
they're
go?
like, then they confirmed that we didn't, and yeah, we get to ride the go karts for like an hour and a half straight. That was fun. Uh,
Nice.
Anywho, oh yeah, go karts being tall enough, but yeah, that play, best play of the year so far. That was, I mean,
Oh yeah, I
Hopkins
don't even
had
think it's close.
Hopkins had three guys on him. Hail Mary, last second. I mean, they got the ball back with like 40 seconds left, and they needed a touchdown, and they got it.
Yeah, I mean, they also produced probably the best commercial moment of the year with
Mhm.
Hopkins and his Jordan brand gloves over the
Oh yeah.
Adidas and the Nike gloves. It's a pretty sick picture if you haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean this is A, why you want a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, and B, why you want a quarterback like Kyler Murray. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of, I mean, on those kind of plays, you're just throwing it up and praying anyway. Like the
Hmm.
quarterback doesn't matter as much on the play because any of them can throw the ball 50 yards. Now, I don't think any quarterback could have made the play Kyler did. If you watch that play, he evades like two or three guys to get
Yeah.
out there to make the throw. Um, but yeah, I mean, this was just the play all around. The last minute of that game has to be the most exciting last minute of any game this year. You know, the Bills are down 3. They go down, and everyone's probably thinking they're playing for a field goal because that's what percent of NFL teams do, and they end up scoring the touchdown to go ahead. And then the Cardinals come back, like you said, with 30, 40 seconds left and win the game. Just
Dagger.
they also, I think I've mentioned before, I'm in a pick 'em contest basically, but we pick against the spread, and you only pick 5 games a week. And the Cardinals got me a win in that. So
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I think
yeah.
the Cardinals are like 1.5 point favorites or something in that game.
Yeah, so they opened at 1.5, which is where like the lines we go off of are the lines that are put out on Wednesdays or that
Mhm.
are out on Wednesday. And so you don't have to make your picks on Wednesday in the contest. I mean, you just have to, like, those are the lines you go off of. And
Mhm.
so luckily I was able to get the Cardinals at -1.5. But they closed closer to -2.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I believe I was on the Bills in that game. So it didn't quite work out for me. However, you at least we're not like Prez from Barstool. He had a $50,000
Oh yeah, I saw that.
wager on the Bills. Talk about an epic way to lose it. The only way that play would have been better was Larry Fitzgerald making that catch. Nothing against DeAndre Hopkins, just a big Larry Fitzgerald fan, and he catches everything. So him to catch that ball,
Yeah.
in what might be his swan song year, would have been, not. I mean, it's not quite the. It wouldn't be the end of his career because there's a few more weeks plus the playoffs possibly, and who knows if he's done. But in his remaining years, to have a moment like that, or in his remaining games to have a moment like that would be would be a pretty epic way to go out.
Yeah.
Um, Not to take anything away from how epic that was. So, congrats, Cardinals. Well done. We'll stay in the West. Seahawks, Rams. This game not very exciting. The Rams ended up winning 23-16.
Mm-hmm.
Russ had some costly turnovers. Jeff, I'll ask you, just like everybody's asking, Russ, too much cooking? Is he overcooked? Is he well done? Is he burnt
I,
up? I can keep going with these puns.
I don't think it's that. I think it's the threat of the run isn't there, so teams are just playing the pass.
Mm-hmm.
Carson hasn't been there for a few weeks, and I don't think any team respects their run game without Carson. Also, teams are adapting to the receivers that they have, right? Like I saw a thing this morning, DK Metcalf has the most receiving yards against single coverage. Um, in the NFL. So I imagine teams are probably sliding coverage over his way more because I haven't heard his name called as often recently. They're playing it. Teams are probably playing it so that Lockett has to be the true number one. And I don't know if he really is. I'm a huge Tyler Lockett fan. But I don't think he's like a number one, if that makes sense. I think he's a great like 1B. And so, they also don't have, what weapons do they have outside of those two? Right.
David Moore.
Yeah. I mean,
Carlos the Glide
sure.
Hyde. That's not his nickname.
It also, I will say like Russ has made a couple mistakes, but last week, I think was the week they played the Bills and they scored like 35 points or 34 points or something like that. And the defense gave up 44. It's kind of hard to win when your defense is giving up more than 30 points in a game. So,
yeah, it seems like Russ might be trying to do a little too much. The value of Chris Carson might be showing itself here. They've had a couple of rough games lately. I expect the Seahawks will be a force in the playoffs, especially once Chris Carson gets back. Dropping this game to the Rams, though, does hurt their chances for that, for the division win, a better route through the playoffs in what is, I'd say, the most competitive division in football, the NFC West.
Yeah, I give you that.
Conversely, the Rams, I mean, their defense has really been stepping up. Their offense has been doing okay. They're boring to watch. All the underneath crap, the emergence of Josh Reynolds, the just full-on committee running back approach. But what can you say? They're getting wins. So,
yeah, I think the Rams lack a real, true, like, deep threat. I know they got rid of Brandon Cooks in the offseason. And he wasn't he wasn't terrible when he was there or anything. I think he still had 1,000-yard season or whatever. But I think he's the kind of guy that could help them stretch the field, make the offense a little more exciting. Because right now, like you said, they do a lot of underneath crossing, not a lot of like 15, 20-yard stuff, but more like 5, 10-yard stuff. And we see consistently with teams that if you're not pushing the ball down the field at least a little bit, it's hard to be exciting and all that great, if that makes sense. I mean, not to skip around to different games, but if you look at the Washington Detroit game, first half versus second half, you can see the difference that throwing the ball down the field makes. With just the Washington scored like 3 points in the first half and had 11 passes to their running back, McKissick. And then in the second half, he only got 4 passes. They push the ball down the field more, and they end up with 24 points in the second half. So,
props to Alex Smith setting career highs in pass attempts, yards. So, comeback player of the year, Alex Smith. Happy to see him doing well. Maybe they'll get some wins. Losing the Lions, not the best look, but whatever. I mean, he's out there. You're doing things. He's doing things, which is great to say. So the weather is doing things as well. Really showing, especially at the Browns-Texans game, lots of wind. 10-7 final. The Browns
delayed the game half an hour or so too.
37 minutes. 37 minutes to be exact. But yeah, I mean, the Browns keep winning. They took down the Texans 10-7. Another weather affected game. Gotta say, it was the Duke Johnson revenge game, and Duke Johnson was supposed to be a featured back, and like he often does, disappointed. So to anybody who played them in their DraftKings or FanDuel lineup, thoughts and prayers. I am
or in your regular season lineup, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
and did not realize that game how bad the weather was there. And immediately once I did, I see if ESPN would let me swap out Duke for someone else, and of course they wouldn't because
Ooh.
it's already game time or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, that was, I try to avoid weather games like that, and was my fault for not looking it up, but yeah, that was a tough one for Duke. Although
What do you
this week
think? Go ahead.
better.
I was going to say, what do you think about this theory that I heard? The weather is worse because there are less fans in the stands, especially the wind. So wind can whip through the tunnels onto the field a little bit more. I remember hearing something in the preseason that kickers were worried about that, but I mean, I don't know. It might be a little too galaxy brain to actually have an effect.
It wouldn't surprise me though. I mean, we've seen it with. You don't hear about it in football as often because I think the weather doesn't affect games as much. But you hear about like baseball and how baseball stadiums are built or how they're oriented to like have the wind either blow in or blow out kind of thing. So it definitely wouldn't surprise me if there being less bodies in the way, it's affecting things a little bit more, or it's felt more on the field.
We need Neil deGrasse Tyson to come out and do a weather
study.
thread. He's not really a meteorologist, though. He's more of a
he's a smart guy. He could figure it out.
Yeah. Neil, I know you're listening. Just give us some cred for your Twitter impressions. What other games? Let's talk Chargers Dolphins briefly. Kalen Ballage revenge game. I started Troy Maine Pope in our home league. That went well. He's a special teamer, apparently. Kalen Ballage got a lot of touches. Tua looked good again. Good, not great. The Chargers defense sucks. Joey Bosa is not there. Derwin James not there. Casey Hayward doesn't care anymore. Desmond King, probably their second best safety, traded away to the Titans for nothing because the coach and him couldn't get along for some reason. So, the Dolphins look good. They're doing with a backup running back. Salvin Ahmad, I believe is his name.
Yeah,
Salvon Ahmad. I'm probably
that.
saying it wrong. But credit where credit's due. Dolphins got a block punt early on. They had a short field in another situation. They went up 14-0 real quick. Chargers just couldn't do it. They had a very conservative approach to the game and lost, but that's okay. I asked to not rip my heart out, and they didn't rip my heart out this week, so I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
And the Dolphins are low-key a solid team. I wouldn't say they're a really good team yet, but they're
Top
solid.
10? They're flirting with
probably. They're flirting with it at least.
Like the Raiders.
Yeah, I guess. And the Dolphins, Tua's looked decent so far. He looks, I think, to me, pretty clearly behind Burrow and Herbert in terms of quality so far. But, he's been good enough. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't lost them a game or anything.
The hip looks good.
Yeah, for the most part. And he's probably still just getting back into the swing of things, after the injury, being out, all that stuff. But yeah, that Dolphins team is a little bit scary because, it doesn't feel like Tua's playing all that great yet, and they're finding ways to win games. And if he figures it out, maybe they get a little bit better. Although I still don't think there's a chance they challenge, some of the best teams in the league. But you never know.
They could probably beat the Ravens on their best day for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Ravens are a weird team. Like, I still think the Ravens are a top 4 or 5 team in the league, but
yeah,
they have issues that they need to figure out. And this last week I think was tough. As you brought up, it was the monsoon game, right? So it's tough to judge much when, I watched a few plays of that game, and Lamar goes to make a throw and throws it like 5 yards, and the receiver looks like afraid to catch it almost because of how wet the ball is, right? Obviously, like, they're not, but like it's just one of those situations, like it's so wet and it's like there's so like pouring. If you can't, like, watching guys run was like everyone's taking baby steps,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Ravens. The running game is definitely not firing like it used to. I know they had a pretty pivotal guy on the offensive line get injured early in the year. I do not know the guy's name.
I think it
Confession.
was Ronnie Stanley. It was right after he signed his contract, I believe.
Sounds right. We'll go with that. So probably contributing to it somewhat, but Lamar isn't escaping the pocket like he used to. So they're just not clicking. Maybe they get it going and they get moving. The NFL's better when Lamar is running and the Ravens are doing well. So, I mean, now you have Kyler for the Cardinals kind of doing what Lamar did last year for the Ravens. So, I mean, I put it on the show notes. Is Lamar washed? I know it's really early. I mean, you kind of already gave your take, Jeff. I just, these run heavy quarterbacks fizzle. We haven't really seen one not fizzle, right? Vic, Kaepernick, Lamar. Who am I missing? Who's had staying power? Is this just the natural?
I mean, Cam
is this
had
just what
staying power
happens to
until he
run
got
first
hurt.
QBs? What's up?
Cam had staying power until he got hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you put Russ in that same category, but he was a fairly run-heavy quarterback compared to the rest of the league for a while. I think the biggest issue that the Ravens have is almost similar to some of the issues Seattle has, in that, except Seattle's a little different. But if you put DK on the Ravens, I think the Ravens offense just hums. The Ravens need a number one guy on the outside that Lamar can throw to, and Marquise Brown is unfortunately not that guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Marquise can't be like a number one receiver fantasy wise. I definitely think he can. He gets the opportunities, but I just think they need a guy that, like, it's 3rd and 7. This guy's going to run a 10-yard route, and Lamar can just put the ball on his numbers and end it. You know what I mean?
Like Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great get for them.
Allen Robinson needs to get on a good team. He's my probably top target for the Chargers this offseason. He's an unrestricted free agent. Free A-Rob from the Bears.
I'm with you. But yeah, I just think they need to get Lamar a true weapon on the outside. And let Marquise be the accessory piece.
I hear you. I agree with you there. So Lamar, not cooked, not washed.
I don't believe so.
Yet. I hope so. I mean, I hope he is not washed. There we go. I want to see him do well. Anyway,
exactly.
Drew Brees got hurt in the game. Saints versus Niners. This game was close for the majority of the game. The Niners defense came out. They looked fired up. But ended up falling 27-13. The main story is, like I said, Drew Brees, 5 fractured ribs and a punctured lung. Ouch. And yeah, just side note, Alvin Kamara is amazing. He had this little pitch, and from like maybe the 5-yard line, he knew he was going to get in, so he slowed down, and then a corner still was right there to make a tackle. And I've never seen such a casual hurdle, but he just, I mean, it looked like he was on his way. I can't even, like, he was getting in line at a grocery store or something. He was just so casual, strolling up, and then the defender dove, and he just kind of like just little hop over him. Just, I mean, like it was nothing. Anyway, That's the hashtag grind the tape observation for this game. But Jameis got in and looked terrible. What do you think about Jameis's outlook? I mean, I see you're running him out there. You picked him up in our. You ready to eat some W's?
Yeah. I mean, I obviously kept Jameis in our dynasty league that I'm running him out there this week. I picked him up in our home league. I think, I'm a big Jameis fan, and I think Jameis has a chance, in these next couple weeks to really inflate his stock, obviously. And maybe even retire Drew Brees at the same time. You never know. But no, I mean, I think the weapons that they have, I think that, I mean, I'm a Jameis believer. I couldn't believe no one really wanted him this year in the offseason, similar to Cam. But I think
Right.
Jameis comes out, shows why the Saints wanted him, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say he retires Drew Brees. Brees does not play another down for the Saints.
Ooh, that is spicy. That is spicy. I like it. I think Jameis is well. I mean, they're taking on Atlanta at home. Atlanta is 32nd against the pass. Against quarterbacks. What is the line in this game? Let me check. I have the lines here. Oh, I think it was off when I checked earlier because of Drew Brees' status. I said it that New Orleans probably 2.5-point favorites. So I believe there are some official lines out there anyway. But anyway, yeah. I think I mean my take here is vanilla, but I think Jameis is going to try to push down the ball down the field and he's going to make mistakes. It's going to be entertaining. Jameis is going to be entertaining, much more entertaining than Drew Brees has been in the recent years with his 5-yard passes. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Jameis. Yeah, hopefully, Drew rest up. Drew versus time. We are a team. We're a team. Body wellness. Sure, that's a phrase. So get well and let Jameis entertain us. Nice flow there. Drew,
Also,
rest up, come back for the playoffs.
I see here that at pretty much all the Vegas places, casinos, William Hill, BetMGM, the Superbook, the Golden Nugget, it's either -5 or -4.5 New Orleans.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Whew. Atlanta all the way. You got to figure. I mean, Atlanta is one of those teams where you don't know what the hell they're gonna do. But I mean, it's a division game. It's indoors. Jameis, he definitely has some pick sixes in his back pocket, and that could swing it.
He
That could
does.
swing a touchdown win to just eking one out. So yeah, I want to watch this game. It's in the morning. It's a 10 o'clock game here on the West Coast. The stepchildren of time zones, but yeah, that'll be one to watch. Moving on to some other games. Teddy Bridgewater got hurt, but apparently he's okay. So we're gonna get denied PJ Walker time. I heard via the interwebs that PJ Walker wouldn't have even been the starter. It would have been whoever the third string guy is, I guess. Who's terrible, which why? Anyway, so yeah, but the Panthers, they got blown out 46-23 by the Buccaneers. Vikings Bears on Monday night. God, the Bears are very difficult to watch. I was not. I had the primetime underdog money line parlay. So, whenever I see a home dog on either Thursday night Sunday night, Monday night. I am tempted to pick them in my pick'ems pools, and so I saw them and so I took the Pats and Bears this week on a parlay, and wouldn't you know, the Pats won. So just need the Bears to beat the Vikings, and oof, yeah, don't ever bet on the Bears, man. Their offense is just, I was scrolling Twitter and everybody was just commenting on how terrible the Bears offense was and how hard it was to watch. I was like, it can't be that bad. I turned it on. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
I get it. So, yeah. And then Foles got hurt. Jeez, it is just oof. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from the NFL, or at least the games recap. That is Week 10. We already talked fantasy, so we'll move on from that as well. Just yeah, I mean, suggestions to you guys is hope you guys remain healthy, and yeah, hopefully you have some bench depth because
pretty much
injuries are coming and the COVID exemptions are coming as well. Shall we move on to Formula One? Everybody's favorite
let's
topic.
do a quick golf check-in. The Masters happened.
Talk about the Masters?
Yeah, so
Sweet.
It happened. It was actually pretty boring, to be completely honest, in terms of like who the winner was going to be, because we're not that it's ever 100%, but Dustin Johnson had a decent lead after Saturday. Was not
it's like
the
watching
most
Lewis
exciting.
Hamilton.
Yeah, in
on
a lot
Sunday.
of ways. I think Bryson DeChambeau trying to hit the ball as far as anyone ever has. It did not work for him. He did make the cut, however, and he wasn't terrible, but he did not win the way a lot of people thought he might. Brooks Koepka, back healthy, gets a tied for 7th with a 10 under over the 4 days. The big story on Sunday, though, was Tiger. He ends the tournament at -1, and on Sunday he had a 10 on a par 3. Yeah, so if anyone's ever, he had an entertaining Sunday because I think he was trying to make things happen, so he was taking some risks. He went out on 12. If anyone knows the Augusta, 12 is a short par 3 over the little pond creek.
Is that where that guy in practice skipped one across?
No, that's 16.
Okay.
Highlight
of the weekend.
it
happened on Wednesday, I think.
But yeah, Tiger basically takes a 10 on a par 3. So he's 7 over on one hole. And then over the next, 6 holes, he goes 5 under, I believe. Was pretty impressive, but obviously didn't matter because he was out of it. But
shoot your shot.
That's pretty much. That's basically the Masters. Congrats to Dustin Johnson on the win. I believe it's his second major and first Masters, I believe. So good for him. He's also married, to connect this to other sports. He's either married or dating Wayne Gretzky's daughter, Paulina Gretzky. Just in case you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw her in the news. Everybody was, remarking on her appearance. So, yeah, congrats, and thank you for giving us that little golf update on the Masters. That ends the season for golf, right? They'll be back in the spring.
The season has been over. In terms of like the PGA Tour season. I don't know where this fits into like next season, if it's going to be part of next season or not, because they get points and stuff per tournament. But usually golf starts back up around now, and they have a couple tournaments before the end of the year. and then tournaments at the beginning of the year. I don't exactly know their schedule right now, but the Masters is scheduled to take place in April again next year. So, yeah, I don't fully know that situation.
Gotcha. Well, as the sports calendar moves on, we will bring up golf as as needed, as the news calls for it. So thank you for that, Jeff. Speaking of other sports that we don't always cover, U.S. soccer 6-2 against Panama. The babies. Claudio Reyna's son or Diego Reyna's son, Claudio? I don't know. The Dortmund kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He got two goals, I believe. Weston McKennie looked good. There was reason for optimism. Yeah, I'm excited. I can wear my U.S. soccer jersey again and not feel like I might get sideways glances. You can. I mean, not because they're state of play. Maybe other reasons. You can read into that as you want. Not to get political. We're not a political podcast. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, international soccer will be back, and we'll have some qualifiers in the spring. I don't know how this works, but yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I have one thought about U.S. soccer at the moment, and it's that
we're winning the World Cup.
No, but it's that a lot of people within U.S. soccer owe Jurgen Klinsmann an apology.
Never.
We're seeing, he was a very big proponent of Americans going over to Europe to play and develop, and he got a lot of pushback on that. And we're seeing now that, everyone that's having an impact on the national team has pretty much gone over to Europe to play and develop. And maybe we should have listened to the guy that came from a country that's arguably the best in the history of soccer.
You talking about Germany that lost 6-0 to Spain, or
hey,
they got smoked? Didn't they?
I'm just saying arguably.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that Jurgen tried to get the U.S. to do this like 10, 15 years ago, and there was a whole lot of pushback. And now the youngsters are doing it and not giving a F what some of these old U.S. soccer people are saying, and it's working out.
I would say that I think Jurgen did get pushed back. However, most fans agreed with him. And then the powers that be, MLS, right? The guys who are running the domestic soccer league in the US was really pushing the MLS guys, like freaking Michael Bradley, who kept getting starts.
Right.
When clearly he was past his prime. Instead of giving the younger guys the spots on, the tournaments that would go on and the World Cup qualifiers to get them some experience. So, right. Jurgen kind of, it seemed like he caved to the pressure a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how that works with who ultimately has the say in the teams, but you're right in the sense that he should be credited for his approach. It's clear that, if you want to create the best national team at this point in time, the best way to do that is to encourage these players to go play in European leagues or target those players that have the eligibility to play on the U.S. national team because of either they were born here or just depending on the FIFA eligibility to right. target those players to commit to the U.S. instead of getting MLS guys and focusing on them, because The MLS is good for what it is, but not the answer to making progress in international soccer.
Exactly.
So, reasons to be optimistic. It was one game, right? It's one game, 6-2, but the young guys with recognizable names are doing the things that they should be doing, unlike in the past when we've had guys like Freddie Adu, who was supposed to do things that never did. And also, even Alex Morris, who was supposed to be hot shit a few years ago, who just played, where did he play? He played Stanford, right, as a college kid. Tore it up. He scored some goals for the national team and in some big-ish moments, but, he's kind of fizzled. So hopefully these guys, they stay healthy. Pulisic keeps pulling his hammy. So, we'll see. I'm optimistic. Maybe we get the Gold Cup going. And God, I hope they keep this mix of these international guys when the games are important. This was just a friendly, and it happened to be in Europe. So with COVID, just due to travel, they might have just said, okay, let's just throw out all these young guys that are already in Europe, So how much of this team composition was it just out of convenience, and how much of it was, signs of direction for the program? I hope it's the latter. Anywho, those are just my thoughts. I love me some international soccer, so hopefully we'll be having more relevant talks about that in the future, rather than friendlies against freaking Panama. Moving on. Formula One, more international sports. Turkey back on the grid. The calendar. I mean, we returned to Turkey. I hyped it last week, and it did not disappoint. Mainly because of the weather, and the track was resurfaced, so that was kind of the big talking point after Friday practice. Turkey hadn't hosted a Formula One race for a while. As I mentioned on the last podcast, the track is known for being a little bit bumpy, off course, offline. So they resurfaced it, smoother asphalt. But, Pirelli had already allocated their tires, and they tend to be on the conservative side. They don't want tires that are going to fall apart and make, the drivers be in dangerous conditions. So they rolled out their 3 hardest compounds for this track, but the track was not as abrasive as it used to, or they thought. So, basically there was no grip. It was like driving around on ice. It's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit in Turkey this time of year as a high. So the cold temperatures are making the tires even more like rocks. Hamilton said the surface was shit with the capital S.
I was going to say there was some major hate on the track, not just from Lewis, but I saw a few drivers and a few people commented on it.
Yeah, and my first thoughts seeing this was like, yes, give it to me. I want to see, this is going to be a good weekend. I was excited. Maybe it was because I had just seen the Joker as well, and so I just, wanted just chaos and, wildness.
Yeah.
I had to sneak that in there somewhere that I watched the Joker, and that was the first appropriate. Anyway, then we rolled to Saturday. Rain. Mercedes failed to qualify in the top 5 for the first time in the hybrid era. Thoughts and prayers. But, I mean, it's been, let me think, 5 years for the hybrid era? I'm not sure. 2016, 2015, 2014? I don't know. Somewhere around there, the hybrid era started. So, gives me an idea of how dominant Mercedes in that package have been. Lance Stroll in last year's Mercedes put his Racing Point Mercedes in first place. He qualified first. Verstappen qualified second. Thoughts on Perez to Verstappen. Even when Mercedes can't get it done, he still couldn't get it done. And Perez in the other Racing Point pink Mercedes qualified third. I believe Hamilton was down in sixth.
Yep.
Bottas was like ninth, and the Ferraris were both out of the top 10. Danny Rick was up there. The McLarens were up there. So, I mean, we were set up for a great Sunday because of the wildness in qualifying. There was a little bit of rain in the forecast. There was a chance when I checked, but I thought that there wasn't going to be rain, and I honestly thought that maybe Mercedes didn't qualify so well because they gambled and went for a dry setup. Anyway, as it turned out, Sunday, more rain. Verstappen got a terrible start, which, I mean, you just hate to see it. And just had a horrible race in general. You know, he was trying to make a comeback in the midpoint of the race, spun out, had to come in and pit. Just a terrible day for Verstappen. I can't remember if it was after qualifying or after the race, but there was a shot of him I saw on Twitter where he was just sulking by a trash can, and I almost sent it to you, Jeff, saying how appropriate is this Verstappen just hanging out by a trash can, sad. We're not pro Verstappen like this. What's that?
It's very appropriate.
Yeah. Verstappen, I mean, he sank like a rock going down the straightaway. He couldn't find the gear to start the race. And then just from there was, I mean, it was exciting beginning to finish. Once the grid kind of settled in, it just became tire management. A lot of pretty much the whole grid started on full wet tires. Some pit early for idiots. Hamilton stayed out on the full wets, bided his time, threw on the intermediates about halfway through the race. He only did that one pit stop. He's picked up a lot of wins where, you know, he's not really lauded for his ability in the wet, but he seems to do really well in these drying conditions where he'll put on intermediates and he'll just drive super smooth, and the intermediates will wear. So then they just basically become slicks, like it loses the tread as the track kind of dries out. And I mean, it worked out for him. He ended up winning by like a full 40 seconds. And at one point, you know, he was down, I think in like fifth or sixth, and he was 40 seconds back. So, I mean, from that point on in the race, he was basically a full lap faster than anybody else. So, Ferrari ended up finishing, it had its best race of the season. They finished third and fourth. Vettel ended up finishing third. He had a great start, and was up at the pointy end of the grid for most of the race. And then Leclerc actually did better in the race itself. He was running third on the last lap. He made a pass on the final straight to get ahead of Perez, trying to defend down the inside on that bumpy surface, like I said. Locked it up, went wide. Perez passed him, so did Vettel. So Leclerc ended up finishing fourth. Vettel finished third, getting his first podium of the year. And Leclerc was very sad. The win for Hamilton, I know I've been talking a lot, sorry, Jeff, but the win for Hamilton clinched his 7th title. So hats off to Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, congrats to Lewis. This was also the largest gap from first to second since like 2016 from something I read.
And he made it look easy. I mean, you know, there was a lot going on in the race, but Hamilton just managed his tires, and he's the best racer in Formula One, and he showed it.
Yeah.
So, well done, Lewis.
You did a good job covering it.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you say? The guy's amazing. You know, he'll have there's 3 races left. Or is there 4? I believe there's 3. There's 2 at Bahrain and then 1 in Abu Dhabi. So there's still some things to watch on the calendar. However, it's just going to be the individual races. We got one kind of one-off track left. It's the Bahrain Roval, the Bahrain Oval, which it's not really an oval, but that's what they're saying. It is. Anyway, that one will be exciting to watch. We'll see. I mean, I'm ready to get on to the 2021 season at this point, but congrats to Lewis. So, I mean, we're at time, Jeff. So you got anything else before we, I know you need some PF Changs, man. I lost in our home league too. So it's a PF Changs week for me, all my bets lost. So, yeah, I'm ready for it. Are you?
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right, folks. We will catch you next week. Thanks for joining. See ya.